to the Technical Trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday, the 13th of August. This is the weekend webinar, and what a couple of weeks we've had. And a spectacular rally off the low when the market was extremely oversold and everybody was bearish. I knew we were going to rally, but I'm a little surprised it's as strong as it is, but I shouldn't be because we've seen this before. S&P 500 in the last month has gone from 3,700 to 4,300, nearly 4,280. That's nearly 600 points, folks, and that's a spectacular move. It's on the order of 18%, something like that. And you can see by the declining top sign, it goes back, connecting the highs in January and again in end of March. We're up against that declining top sign, but the declining channel was broken here, retested there. The moving averages had crossed over, and that new trend was on the way. When it got through the 41.75, 41.90 zone, I knew we were going higher. But take a look at this double top right here, 43.08, 43.07. We're at 42.80, so we got about 28 points to go before we meet declining top sign at 30 points and the lateral price resistance. So with an extension from here to there that quickly, I would not be surprised, and it would be bullish for the market to come back, but do it in an orderly kind of back in a filling manner so that we can set up a next wave up and take this market all the way up, possibly to as high as 4,600. What a recovery that would be! But we're still that's still in doubt, of course. Taking a look at the NASDAQ 100, the Ghtx is not quite as strong percentage-wise, but it did go from 11,000 basically and 37 to 13.5. That's 3,500 points, about 3%, 30% in such a very quick manner that it's come right to the declining top sign as well and lateral price resistance. So in the case of both the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500, we're up near or at overhead price and double resistance level. Not only would it not surprise me if we pull back, I'm kind of expecting it. If you take a look at the individual charts that you're going to see today, you're going to see a lot of stocks that have exploded and spiked, but need to do some consolidating, retesting in order for this bull phase to continue. That's my take. Look at the transportation index. Also, a move from a double bottom at 12.8 to over 15, to be 15.3 nearly. That's 2,500 points, or about 20% straight up, or 19-20% on the Dow transportation. And look, overhead resistance in that zone, lateral price resistance to the declining top line, all in that area. So we're up against it on all three major indices. The small cap index, the IWM, has gone through that line, and it's broken out to lateral price resistance as well. So in my opinion, this is the strongest index out there. It's gone from 163 to 200, 37 points. And that's kind of like also about, I would say 22%, something of that nature. So we've got a really strong move on that too. But of course, it's extended. And what do I mean by that? Well, take a look at, this is one of the biggest readings we've seen in a long time. The McClellan oscillator is plus 177.74. And that's the highest close since the spike up in May, when it reached 210, I believe. Let's see, 209. And so among the most overbought readings we've seen in the last 2 years, 2.5 years. So I'm not that it can't stay overbought for a while, but it's dangerous up here, and the market needs to pull back and consolidate. That's all I want to say. I don't think it's going into a major bear phase. I do think we need to pull back, but you never know what comes from a pullback once it gets going and how voracious it might be on the downside. Just giving everybody a heads up and a warning. All the charts that we've been looking at have done very, very well, and you'll see a bunch of them today. And what's also interesting is that my short list was reduced by 80%. Like literally, the vast majority of stocks on that list have broken out across the declining top sides, lateral price resistance, and things of that nature. So for the most part, the vast majority of shorts have gone to a level where they've broken out and are no longer considered shorts. So today's, until I have a chance to do extensive work on the short list, I will be going over the technicals and the longs only. And let's start with the other underlying indicators. In terms of the, you'll see another overbought reading. The percentage of stocks, and really amazing, the percentage of stocks above their 40-day moving average has gone from, get this folks, in about 6 weeks, Now let's go back into a daily chart first. Right, in about 6-7 weeks, we've gone from a low reading of 878. That's the lowest reading we've seen since 2020, to a high of over 80, near 81, and that's the highest level we've seen since the rally phase in 2020 as well. So we're at a point now where the market's extended, overbought, but momentum is so strong it could stay overbought for a while. Just want to give you a heads up that we are at overbought readings. Not to get too crazy yet, we're going short, but you may want to start thinking about tightening your stops on several positions you have that have big profits, and or taking some off the table, a quarter, a third, or half your position. Let's take a look at the VIX as well. And it showed that ever since this market started to bounce in June, this came down and never really got higher than 35, which was really amazing to me. The market was at its low, and this is only at 35. We've seen readings in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and even up as high as 80. Take a look at this. In 2020, this thing reached 85. And right now we're back down to 19 and change. And that's the lowest reading we've seen since April. So we got most of the indicators at a point where they're indicating overbought. But the question is, can they stay overbought for another week or 2 or 3 before they pull back? Well, I think the pullback is imminent. I don't know when, but we shall see the retest. We'd love to see the market fortify the trends by doing that. And I'll show you a lot of chart patterns that indicate that. Let's look at the NASDAQ 100 generals. Apple Computer has gone from 129 to 172, and that took about 2 months. It's a huge move for that stock that quickly. And note it took out this declining top line and that declining top line, which isn't as legit. This falling wedge broken there and tested there as the moving averages crossed over. It was a no-brainer signal for me that the Apple was going higher. From 142 is where the real buy came in, to 172, 30 points that quickly. It's pretty amazing for Apple. What about Amazon? Well, Amazon, which split 10 for 1, I think it was, or was it 20? I don't remember. Yeah, 20 for 1. Came down dramatically, but broke back out with a major breakaway gap, ran up to resistance, and it's back and filled in here. You can see at the 144.5 range is resistance, and Amazon breaks out looking at 158.60, and then a retest of the highs. For now, though, this too is a short-term overbought condition that I need to see it back in and filling in that range to set up a flag coil pennant before the market breaks up higher. If it goes over 145, you might see it start to run again. So Apple and Amazon are set up but overbought. What about Google? Well, you see Google doesn't look as strong, but it did create a base pattern that it broke out of slightly. However, lateral price resistance from all these lows in here, there, and then these rally highs that failed at the same level. This is key resistance. The resistance on Google is 125. Above that, that's where the market goes with it, and that's where this can go and really help the market run. Your next target on Google will be upwards of 130, 32 zone. Microsoft. You can see that Microsoft also broke out of its declining top line with a breakaway gap, no less, and got up to resistance at that gap. And so this is at a point where it could easily pull back, but any blow through here, and we may be seeing 315 on Microsoft. Nevertheless, a break out of the declining top line and that wedge, and then it tested a moving average, the declining top line, and a pullback broke out again last week, and Friday was a good day for it, up 489. And acting like this wants to go higher with a target now at 315. Really like the way NVIDIA is setting up. After a big drop, it saw a drop from 325 all the way down to 140. The stock bounced, and it formed a left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder type of inverse head and shoulder pattern. A neckline breakout and something above, say, 192.3. We take it to 205 and 220 or more. My target up about 225, 228 if it runs, which it looks like it wants to. And the problem is all of these stocks can pull back from this level because they're at resistance. Netflix, which was looking terrible and had dropped precipitously from 700 to 165, then based out for a couple of months and broke out here from the rising wedge, and then right now it's at that huge gap that it had in April when they had their bad earnings report. So this is resistance, but your next target is 270 and then 295, 300 if you can get up through that zone. So it's set up to go. We'll see. The worst looking stock, in my opinion, out of the stocks you're going to hear today, the NASDAQ 100 Generals is META. That's Facebook. Facebook changed your name, as you know. So the stock, I said, dropped from 384 down to 150, is now bounced, and it's got key resistance here. This has not broken out, and only if Facebook or Meta gets over 184 with energy will I believe that it can participate in a rally right now. And of course, that leaves us with Tesla, which had a spectacular bounce. Look at this, folks. The May low, 620 to a high of 940 in a couple months on Tesla. A huge move for that stock. You can see that the spectacular breakout and consolidation and resistance, if you get through 940, could lead to 1,050, 1,075 range. I wouldn't bet the farm on it, but it sure has that kind of momentum. It could do it. So that's a look at the indices, the underlying technicals, and some of the NASDAQ generals. Let's look at some of the key ETFs for the groups that I follow, semiconductors, for example. If this is any indication of a market move, take a look at a big, it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave to me. And then a spectacular reversal and a run up. The SMH, which pounded down to 190, exploded to 245. And my key resistance right now is 249. And we get to that, we're looking at 265 and 285, which would be spectacular if we got it. A little bit of a breakout across the declining top side, but we really need to get to 249.50 to really get this market rolling to the upside and exploding on a short covering squeeze. Ideally, if this is a left shoulder and a head, and we get a right shoulder to form, we may need to back and fill a little bit in here too as well. Financials, many waves down. I think there's 7, but let's go from this area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down there. A base and a breakout, and right back up to resistance after breaking the channel. The 92 to 95 zone is going to be key resistance, but any blow through there, we're looking at 110.12. For now, though, if we back and fill in here, I'll be just as happy, as long as we don't break down. For example, under 75.6. And of course, my favorite, the LABU and XBI, from 184 down to 4, or 187, I think it was. 185 to 4, amazing move. Based, broke out, wedge, broke out, and now it's forming another wedge or flag. Any move on the LABU through 13.25 should get you to 16, 17 range, and maybe as high as 20, and I'm not kidding. XBI looks as good, but not quite as good because of it's not a triple. But this had double bottomed, broke out and wedged, popped, and now it's wedging yet again. So the XBU looks to me like the next target, if it gets to this triple top, it would be upwards of 105. That's another, 11, 12 points more. But, it could easily back off as well. Still, I think this is a 1, 2, 3, and 4 may take some time. So even if we go sideways and consolidate for a while, I'll be good with that. So that completes the look at, again, the indices, the underlying technicals, the SMA, the ETFs for the favorite groups of mine, and the NASDAQ 100 generals. I got a list of about 100 longs to go through, and then we'll finish up for today. But I want you to see how spectacular some of these charts are. And believe me when I tell you, if you don't see your favorite chart on this list, it's because I had to call this list down to make this a reasonable video. The bottom line is there's about 50 to 100 stocks that I eliminated today that look great. Seriously, look great. I just decided these are the ones I want to talk about. ABCL, B bottom right-handed extended breakout. We put a swing on it. It ran to the target, pulled back and wedged, and broke out again. It ran to my second target. My next target's up here like 17. Fabulous chart. AEHR, talk about fabulous. Falling wedge, pop, retest, form base, breakout, spectacularly with volume. Form a wedge and then explode. Literally, this stock has only been down 3 days since it was 7. So it's really, and that's the last 5 weeks. Spectacular chart, and Friday was really impressive as it came down and then immediately reversed back up again. Wouldn't be surprised to see low to mid-20s on this. AFRM broke the declining top line, pop, we put a swing on it, it backed off for a retest and went from 22.90 to 39, 17 points, and it looks even higher with a target now in the low 40s and 50. AGEN, a low price biotech with an extensive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a pop right to resistance and a pullback wedge and a breakout. you can see what looks like a large inverse head and shoulders or right-handed extended V, cup and handle, whatever you want to call it, it's bullish. A breakout on AGEN over 305 might get you 350 and could get you all the way up there to 4 3/4. Those are my targets right now. AHT, after spiking into the, look at this, folks. I believe, yes, this is a reverse split. So I can't tell you exactly what overhead resistance is, but I will tell you the chart shows that we're at resistance and that the next target might be mid-teens. Great momentum. ALDX, another biotech on the run. They decimated these biotechs. This was down to 236, May 19th. By August 10th, less than 3 months later, from 2 and change to $8. And right now it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it may be overbought, but my target remains upwards of 10. May consolidate first though. ALT, another biotech, spectacular reversal, 383, and on Friday it exploded to 1855. This is a stock that's gone up fivefold. Now this might be a blow up, but it's a breakout as well, so you got to be careful. The bottom line is Altimmune looks higher. My angle is right there. I'm going to call for a move up towards the low 20s. ARRY in the solar group, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, break over the neckline, rising wedge, spectacular surge. It's consolidating. The next target is 28. What a chart. ASTS breaks the 2 declining tops lines with a breakaway gap, and it has an inside day Friday. Doesn't look done yet, but it's a little extended short term. Target 13. AVDL, V bottom with a platform, breakout and a coil, and another breakout, 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 near resistance. So it's extended. I'd like to see it pull back, but any further upside spike up could get you all the way up to 11 and a half, 3/4. That's my next target, which means almost a double from here. Bed Bath & Beyond, look at this spike up. After bottoming in the 4.5 range, it went vertical to 1334. Pulled back dramatically in the support zone. Fill that gap nearly, it bounced right back. If we go further, 15 3/4 and 19 are targets. Another biotech, Bluebird, with an inverse head and shoulders, in my opinion. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Breakout at resistance. Next target, 8. Boyle, wow. This stock is an amazing trading vehicle, and when the trend is your friend and the trend's in your direction, it can be spectacular. After exploding and getting all the way up in June to the high that it reached, or 140 and change, it imploded to 38.70, and it lost 2/3 of its value in a month, only to turn right around and blow out and go from under 40 to over 100, reaching 106.92 before the wedge formed. Note the support here. It popped out last week. Where's your resistance? Obviously 109. Then you're looking back at the highs in the 130.40 zone. Careful with this one though. BTU, well, not as spectacular as the next one you're going to see, CEIX. Both are coal stocks, but look at this chart. About under 4 to nearly 70. And it's still running. Spectacular chart. On the other hand, BTU, which is one of my favorite trading stocks, and went from under $1 all the way into the mid-30s, or low 30s, has then been coiling for about 3-4 months. This is due for a move, but it's not going to do it until it gets over 24.25, 25. If that happens, watch for it. CGC, well, I told you that when the stock hit $2, I thought we're at a low. I know we were at an all-time low, and I thought, you know, unless they're going bankrupt, this is probably a good buy. And suddenly, bond came into it, it pulled back. Bond came into it, it pulled back, and I would get a pop. This line here connecting the last 4 or 5 peaks came in right about there. And so we backed up a little bit, but it didn't look like it. Look, do not be surprised if this stock suddenly surges and blows out up above 3.5. If that happens, we'll quickly test 4 and then get up near 4.5, 3/4. Those are my short-term targets. CHPT, I love this chart. V bottom with a platform breakout. Look at the day on Friday. Up 218, 13% more. probably headed for a test of 20, and then we're looking at mid-20s. One of my best swings of the year, CLFD, popped out. We put a swing on it. The stock's gone from high 60s to 120 and 3/4, and it did it in 6 weeks. What a swing. Look, it's extended, folks. I would peel back half my position up here, but I'm looking for more momentum to take it to 145.50 if it does. I'd have to stop it under 106, 108, sorry, 108. Cogent, another biotech with a fabulous chart, explosive move, wedge, pop, hold support right there, form a bull wedge there, break out and run right to the target zone. So it's extended. It's gone from literally from 3 3/4 to almost 14 3/4, and multiple waves up, but strong momentum. I just want to point out that probably on this stock, you should be taking profits. Coupang, V-bottom, platform broke out, we put a swing on it, and then popped and pulled back and flagged low volume ab, broke out, did it again. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think Thursday's spike to 21.38 from where we gave it to you around 14.15 was enough for that swing for now. Reversal on Thursday has me concerned. CPRX going vertical, 615, 1431 in the last couple of months, big volume, all-time high ever. So when you have a stock in all-time high territory, the sky's the limit. The problem is it's so short-term overbought. I'd be real careful and keep playing it with tight stops. Dawn, another biotech that got decimated from the high 20s to 5.5, only to explode on positive drug news. Just keep going. Took about a month to platform. What a spectacular breakout. 16 to 28 in a week and a half. And it's at my target at the all-time high. So it's overbought. Is it going to go higher? Of course, but be careful. When you play momentum, you've got to be careful. DraftKings broke out of a base. I put a swing on it. It just kept going. It's acting great. There is resistance on DraftKings at 21. I believe that's my target. Next target, 24.5. EDU breaks out of a base in a rising channel. I don't know how far they take it, but it looks to me like this stock could be in the 32.3 range. Good support around 22.3. ENVX broke out of a beautiful base pattern with volume and the gap. So you can see right now that the breakaway move has that up near resistance that was a little short term overbought. I'd love to see a consolidation in this zone for a setup and a move to high 20s. Ford Motors broke out. We put a swing on it. The moving averages crossed over as it retested. And from that level, 12.46, it went up to over 16. Right now, closing 16.18. That's the highest close since April. And to me, we get to 16.5. We might see 18.5 and 20. FLNC utility with a V bottom and a platform broke out, and it's now wedging. It looks even higher to me. Wouldn't be surprised to see mid-20s on it. FSLR, what a move. My favorite solar of all time, first solar and the largest in our industry. Breakaway gap, run up flag, and explode. I mean, literally gone from 61 to 118, folks, in a month. Not even. Pretty amazing. Pretty much a double. And it's overbought and extended and near resistance. Careful up here. Love to see it pull back, consolidate in that zone, then take the double top out. GAN finally woke up on Friday with a spectacular pop. Now, the volume was big enough, 620,000, but it's the highest level in 4 months now. And it went right through double resistance. After having turned around, broken out, and flag started to pop. I believe I put it out right there, 3 and change. It's now 420. Targets remain 4 3/4, 5 3/4, and 7. GOVX, spectacular pop and falling wedge, breakaway gap, explode and wedge. Obviously, you want to stop this one under, say, 220, but might double, might triple. Something to watch. GHTX, another spectacular biotech, reversed from a low of 385, exploded last week to get up to almost 14. It's above resistance with the next target around 15. GitLab, long downtrend, multiple waves down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reversal, retest, new channel up. That's the highest level of 5 months. I'm now looking for get left to make a move. Test 80. That's my guesstimate. Gush. Well, after a huge, spectacular move over the last couple of years, and so does go from the low teens to 250 20-fold. Finally got slammed dunked and oil came down. This has gone from 258 to under 100, and then a spectacular bounce again. The breakout came on Thursday, inside day Friday. Watch this one carefully. I'm still of the opinion oil could fade in here. Depends on several factors. And that's your downtrend. So if we fail here, look out. If we don't, your next target is 185.88. Hudson's been in a ripped rising trend for 2 years now, and it's gone from under $1 to 11, pulled back, and it's back up to 1031. It looks like this wants to continue. A new high would take this one to 15, in my opinion. INBX, tech trader swing broke out, pulled back, and then popped. We put a swing on it. It ran up to target 1 and pulled back and flagged, and it's near target 2 at about 25. The next target would be probably 29. INMD, long downtrend, base, breakout, wedge, put a swing on it. It's moved from the mid-20s to the high 30s, reaching 38.70, and now wedging again. Your next target is 42, 47, 52. Innoviz, that's INVZ, base pattern, breakaway gap, put a swing on it, ran up and pulled back, tested the double top, and ran again. My targets now are 7 and 8. Iovance, long downtrend. Here's a stock that dropped from the mid-50s down to 6. After this gap to the downside, exhaustion gap, it rallied, got up to resistance, nearly filled the gap. It's back to fill in its range. I would say unless it drops under 11 and then takes out 13.75, we're looking at a stock at 15 and 18. Jumaya, well, missed the opportunity I wanted to on this one. Look at the spectacular move off the low. Recently trading in the 5 range, it went up to almost 10 and nearly doubled. Any pullback consolidation in this zone, I'm going to probably swing it for a move to 12 and then 15. Those are my targets going forward, even if it doesn't pull back. Joby, tech trader swing. I like the look of this. Broke out of a wedge, ran up to resistance and backed off, and now moving again. Any move over 7, I think gets me 8.5 and 10. Kodiak. I'm just showing you this because after a spectacular run, it slowed us up to 170. They crushed it in February, dropped it down to 5 from 170, formed a base, and now may be breaking back out again. There is a big gap in here, but it's moved into it. And oftentimes when I see stock move into a gap, it'll start to run. And maybe even halfway into the gap, which is way up there. Possible swing, I'll let you know. LABU, we showed you earlier. Oh, Lucid. Well, not as good as I want and not as good as Rivian. They're both swings. I like Rivian because of long downtrend, V-bottom, platform, breakout, and although it's been labored, I still think you got a shot at low 40s and then high 40s. On Lucid, the problem is it needs to break out of this falling wedge outside. So I'm not happy with this pattern. I'm not happy with the pattern, but I don't mind the structure as long as it comes out of this falling wedge and runs up with the target now at 22, 25, and 28 if it does run. LNTH, one of my favorite charts, barely had a down move during this market drop. It did it right there for a few days, but look at that run up. Right now my target's mid-90s. Mara, the Bitcoin recovering, this stock which had a spectacular drop from 83, believe it or not, to 5. Reversed, wedged, popped, wedged, and broke out. So from 5, it's gone to 1830. Doesn't look done yet, but there is big resistance right there. If we get through this level, we might see mid-20s. MRAM, what a move on Friday, exploding 254 or 40%. Only traded 1,000,001. It's that thin, but take a look at the breakout. The eventual target is 11. MRSM is similar. Big downtrend. Broke out, based, platformed, and exploded, and now it's got 2 inside days in a row. If this thing gets up through the 8 level, my next target is going to be 10. Myovant, yet another biotech with a big bottom and a platform and a breakout. has moved up dramatically from 11 to 1884 just in the last couple of weeks. There is some resistance across here, but your next target might be in the mid-20s if this thing continues. Nice chart, but it's extended and it's near the top of the channel. NEO, a new tech trader swing, long downtrend, spectacular uptrend. But take a look at the pullback. I mean, all the way back down to where it started from back in 2018. So it formed the base and broke out and formed a wedge. I put a swing on it. It's been moving nicely. My target is the gap here at 14 and a quarter 40, and then I'm looking at 18. NEO, still forming a basing type action. I believe eventually the stock makes a more spectacular move. It gets it into the mid-20s and maybe even the high 20s to 30. And then NOx broke out Thursday. I put a swing on it. I had an inside day Friday. I still think it's on its way higher, but I may need to back and fill a little bit in its range. Target 19, 21 and a half. NUE, well, after a spectacular multi-wave move and a reversal, it came down. Right about here is where we put a swing on. It worked for a few days, but it wasn't finished going down. And then you can see how far it came down from a high of 187.88 range. It dropped all the way down to 100. Reversed right here. That was your breakaway, and there was your running gap. And right now, the way this is acting, taking it from 100 to 45 points in about the last 6 weeks. It's at resistance, so it may back off, but really nice recovery. I wanted to show it to you. In the day, what a move on, and what a trade we had on that midweek. And it just went bonkers. I think we caught that about 368 and ran it all the way up to almost 9. I think the high was 9. Let's see. 9 even. It's come down and bounced, but you can see where this is held after cutting it back in half. Watch for a back and fill and a breakout, and if you should get it back above 68.70, that's where I think it can go again, but it may need a period of consolidation after that. Omeros pop, pulled back, we started to go, we put a swing on it. It's moved from 3 3/4, doubled to 7.75, and it doesn't look done yet, but there is going to be some pretty good overhead resistance at the gap and at the price resistance. And that comes in though at about, let's call it on the 9.5 range. That's my extension target. On semiconductor broke out Friday after coming out of a large multiple triple top, quadruple top type resistance. Watch for a extension to 80. Oxy, well, a large wedge is forming as Buffett keeps buying stocks. It's more of a coil actually. If we can get Oxy over 66, it may start to run. Your targets are 74 and 85. PACB, monster move, especially on Thursday when it ripped from 7 3/4 to double to 14.20 and pulled all the way back down to 8 before bouncing. One of those stocks that can really run. We saw this spectacular move that it had there. Maybe the beginning of that move, a similar move anyway. My ultimate target is high teens, but right now I'm looking for a retest of the 10-12 zone. Payo. Payoneer broke out of its space on Friday with a breakaway gap, a big volume, 21 million traded. I'm looking for extension that tags or test 7.5, then 9. Perion coming out, what it looks like coming out of its declining top line, it's right there. So any further move or upside move that takes Perion up through 22.35 can run it to the mid 20s, maybe 26.7. Beyond that, much higher than that. Impinj just took off in May and just never looked back. The V bottom occurred at 39 and change. The stock has gone to 99 from 39. How about that for a move? And a new all-time high in the midst of this market. Got to look for relative strength. Don't know how much further it goes, but it's certainly a market darling right now. P-Lab also making new highs. As you can see, my target now is 27. That's near the highest level we've seen in the last 20 years. So that might be in play, but it's overbought. It's near the top of the channel. Careful with that. Support and stop would be under 21.8 3/4. Plug, I'm liking the way this developed. If it popped out, I put a swing on it. It's gone from the 1920 zone to almost tag 30, 29.97 on Friday. There's resistance in the zone. If it gets to 32 though, you might see a stock at 35 or more. Good momentum. Pubmatic. Long declining falling wedge, breakaway gap, and a rising channel. Looks to me like it wants to go further, 26 target. Right A popped. After breaking out of the wedge on Thursday, I put a swing on it. It ran spectacularly to resistance, and that a positive inside day Friday. And he moved through 11, 50, 60, and I'm looking at 14, 16, and 19. Roblox. V-bottom platform breakout, I put a swing on it. It's extended from the high 30s to the mid 50s, reaching 53.88 at resistance. But an extension here might get me to my next target, 60 or better. Rocket Pharmaceuticals. V-bottom with a right-handed extended platform or cup and handle. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, and fifth wave may be underway. It's at resistance. I think you're going to see 20. Revlon explodes wedges, explodes double tops, forming a wedge at support. Nothing to do here until we see where the volume comes into it, but it is a very volatile, spectacular type chart. RFL, when it popped, I put a swing on it, it backed off. Sometimes it'll do that. That's what we call a high volume zone. That's when one of my institutional clients was actively buying it. I think this is forming a base, and since it's in biotech group, we're going to get a breakout, I think, to get this to 3 3/4 and 5. Rocket Labs, long downtrend, watching this stock go from 21 to 3 and change. Reversed, broke out. Friday was a spectacular engulfing reversal day, but it got to resistance in this zone about, well, 7.5 is resistance. Your next target is 9 and 10.5. Sunrun, one of my favorite solars, breakaway gap, little wedge, pop to resistance. Should we get through here? I would look for at least 42. Rhythm, one of the better swing trades we've had this year. Broke out, we put a swing on it, and went from 4.5 vertically to 24 in about a month, and that's one of the better performers I've ever seen. And it's flagging, it may not be done. This could be a wave 4 flag. Where's it going? 28, 32, 35. No telling where, but so far so good. Seed, very nice, steady move up from 6 1/4 in June to 12 1/4, doubling in the last 60 days. I think it's just getting started, folks. As you know, this is a personal position. There is a triple top in the zone, 1, 2, 3. Should we get through 12 1/4? The high was 12 1/4. 12 1/4 zone is resistance. Your targets are 14.5 and 18. I kid you not. You may get there quickly if there's any news because it's extremely thin. There may be a big run on this one. Keep an eye. SGML and this, look, all the lithium stocks are up. I wanted to show you this one because it's the only one making new highs, and it's a spectacular move. Target 27. Seagut, much like Veru, I'll show you later, an explosive move. Monkeypox stock, falling wedge, worked its way higher, exploded, pulled back, popped again, pulled back, made a new all-time high at 25.54 at my target zone. We get through here, we're looking at 30 and 35 or better. This could be explosive. Keep an eye on it. Software stock Silk Road, which was a spectacular swing trade after reversed in the low 30s and made it into the mid 40s, came down and tested again, and now it's back near the high 40s. I'm not going to be shocked if this one makes a run to the next target of 53. Swing trade Skywater breaks out. We put a swing on it. It just kept running. Met both of my targets. Now it's pulled back. I still think it might move higher, and a $23 target is in place. Solar stock Sunpep. Breakaway gap, run up to resistance, pull back and blow through it. Right now, the way this is acting, I'm now going to take a look at this level, 29.5, and then 33, 34 as you're going forward. Solar swing target for SPWR. SRTS, Census Healthcare. I've never heard of this stock until a few weeks ago when I saw this wedge form. It broke out and it's exploded. It's gone from 7 to 15 in just the last 5-6 weeks. The top of the channel target says extension could take you to 17.5. STNG, probably the strongest. This is kind of interesting. This stock was a laggard in the group and then started to take off. And now that a lot of them are pulled back, this keeps going. It's gone from 11 to 43, 44, and it looks to me like 55 and 60 may be doable if this keeps going. But Always wise to keep a stop. It's 36 is your stop. TAN is the ETF for the solar group. You can see the breakaway from the base after wedging and a run up to near resistance. The next target, 100. Swing trade Casita broke out. It just kept going. It's a really nice pop. I'm looking for 16. Top of the channel, lateral resistance up there. TH pop, three-wave corrected flag, breakaway gap, exploded on volume and just kept going. Even the pullback is muted and it's now wedging. Next target, I would say 16. TMDX breaks out and runs up to the target at the top of the channel, backs and fills, but it doesn't look done yet. This is all-time highs, folks. If it goes through here, this may be 70 or 80. TOST, software stock I like, broke through. Exploded on Friday only to get up to resistance and back off. This gets to 22. I would look for 24 and 28. TPIC, the tech trader swing popped. We put a swing on it. It went vertical. I think right in here. I still think it may test the gap around 28, 9x target. TRHT, long downtrend. Saw the stock drop from the high 50s to 2. V-bottom, retested, broke out, retested from the platform, and broke out and as a wedge. The kind of stock I like. Next target, 7.25. TRVI, what a move. In February, the stock was 46 cents. It's tenfold now, reaching as high as 468 and consolidating this zone. My next target, if it goes, $6. Tupperware, spectacular for us here, if you remember, but it sure came down. Faced out, broke out, it's got a rising flag. There's resistance there, and that's a big one. Around 13, you get through that, we fill the gap to 17. BEE, Friday was a huge day for the stock. We traded this great. It went from 561 to 840. Actually, it went from a lot less than that. It was a gap. The close the day before was 4. So from 4 to 840 and back down, only to bounce again at 780. This has got a nice setup, and you can see the 1-minute chart for next week. Keep an eye on TVEE. Veru, yep, indeed. Look at Thursday, Friday. So on Wednesday, Veru closed at 1177. Next day, it opened at 1417 and went up to 18. Friday morning, it dropped to 1522 and ripped to 19.25. New high, but not all-time high, which was 2370. So that would be my next target, 23.5 area. Verve, tech trader swing when it broke out, went vertical, hit both of my targets and backed off. It's coming on again. Your next target, 43. Volta, a long downtrend, and this one from 12 to 1 and change. Little mini inverse head and shoulder reversal there. And with volume picking up as the stock goes, I'm looking for more upside. 3 3/4, 4 3/4, 5 3/4. VRNA with a spectacular explosive move. It's gone from 5 to nearly tripling, 1469, before pulling back dramatically and then bouncing. What a week for that stock. Up now, 10 days in a row. It's a little dangerous, but momentum. If this should get to 1475, you could see 1780. Boozy, beautiful base built here, broke out, wedged, popped, retested. Notice how it's holding moving average and the trend line right there. As a result, still looking for more upside. I think we're going to get to 12 and 13 on this stuff. Vizio breaks out of a base with a spectacular pop inside day Friday, looking for momentum move to 15 and 17. W breaks out of a base, pops and forms a wedge. This is a tech trader swing. I like it for 80 and 90. Workhorse popped and pulled back, but it's sure recovered nicely this week. Still have hope for this one. 5.5, 6 are your short-term targets. Xair, which I've been showing you for 2 weeks, formed a coil, popped out. Right at resistance here. Any extension, I'm looking for 13 and 16. XBI, we showed you, that's the biotech ETF that we like. And Trucker Yell broke out, flag, pop flag, and then exploded. It's got a rising flag. But it's gone from 290 to 850 in a month, 5 weeks. So maybe due for a pullback consolidation in that zone. Next target, however, is 9.5 and then 11. And finally, Zixi, slowly but surely edging higher with a wedge pattern forming it here. This is a personal holding of mine. I believe this line can explode. Near-term targets and an exit point for some stock, partial positions, around 10.5, 3/4, 11. Get through that, though, you might see 13 and 15. Those are my next targets. And folks, that's a look at all the longs I wanted to show you today. We'll be doing some homework on the shorts, and I'll get you posted maybe with a different video during the week on what shorts are out there. But my list is down to about a dozen stocks from about 100. That'll tell you how strong this rally's been, as it took resistance out on many of these stocks, and as a result, has been eliminated from my short list. I wanted to give you my take on why you're not hearing about any shorts today. But that's it for today. Guys, have a great rest of your weekend. I hope this helps you, and it should. Please review it a couple of times to get yourself prepared for what may be an interesting, volatile week next week. HB, wishing you a wonderful weekend. See you later.